In this podcast episode, Salim Ismail, Dave Blunden, and Dr. Alexander Wisner-Gross join the host to explore a wide spectrum of cutting-edge developments reshaping technology, AI, and society. The discussion spans the revolutionary impact of Claude 4.5 and Opus 4.5 on the software and AI industry, the unfolding robotics Cambrian explosion evident at CES 2026, Nvidia's expanding role with new hardware and physical world models, the recent World Economic Forum dynamics, AI's transformation of jobs and consulting firms, the strategic Gemini Siri partnership, advances in autonomous vehicles and robotics, and even the surprising breakthroughs in AI solving complex math problems. Energy supply challenges, corporate competition among frontiers labs, and emerging questions on human agency and AI liability also feature prominently. The episode opens by reflecting on the recent CES event, where robotics took center stage like never before. With nearly 40 humanoid robot companies and a dozen robotic hand manufacturers exhibiting cutting-edge solutions, the robotics industry shows signs of rapid maturation and market consolidation. Comparisons were drawn to the early 20th century automotive and tire industries, where hundreds of companies initially competed before consolidation led by giants like Ford and General Motors. The panelists anticipate a similar shakeout in robotics, where only a few dominant players with superior AI and hardware integration will prevail. A key challenge highlighted is the business model for specialized robotics components, such as robotic hands, which face limited customers because major robotics companies tend to vertically integrate. Yet some believe the demand for varied robotic body plans, like multi-arm systems inspired by octopuses, will drive innovation. The physical world is becoming just as important to AI development as digital data, with AI beginning to march out of the data center and interact with tangible robots, signaling a pivotal moment in the industry. Nvidia's CEO Jensen Huang's CES keynote introduced ambitious projects advancing physical AI. At the core is Nvidia Cosmos, a world model foundation trained on diverse data, 3D simulations, real-world driving footage, and robotics, enabling AI to generate physically plausible environments. This synthetic data generation capability democratizes training data, reducing dependence on costly real-world data collection, although rare, long-tail events still necessitate real data. Complementing Cosmos is AlpaMio, Nvidia's autonomous vehicle AI model trained end-to-end, and Vera Rubin, a new chip architecture combining next-gen CPUs and GPUs designed to accelerate AI workloads dramatically. These innovations mark Nvidia's push toward a vertically integrated hardware provider offering full-stack data center solutions. The demand for high-performance GPUs and DRAM is exploding, driving supply chain complexities and investments in new fabs, with companies like Elon Musk's ventures aiming to internalize semiconductor manufacturing to manage this hypergrowth. The evolution of computing form factors toward massive data centers rather than local devices was discussed as inevitable, fueled by increasing latency and bandwidth demands addressed partially by satellites like Starlink. While some predict a future dominated by dumb terminals connected to cloud AI, others stress the continued need for localized compute in certain scenarios. Dave Blunden shared early insights from Davos, highlighting how the AI narrative dominates global conversations more than ever before. The traditionally low-profile atmosphere has transformed into one buzzing with AI innovation, with nearly every building and talk focused on its sweeping effects. The presence of top CEOs and trillions in R&D budget underscore the seriousness with which governments and enterprises are addressing AI's transformative power. However, the politicization and slow pace of policymaking remain concerns. While awareness of AI risks and opportunities is unprecedented, substantial ideas and actionable strategies to manage societal disruption, such as universal basic income models piloted by AI-focused companies, remain scarce. The forum exposed tensions around issues like global power dynamics and environmental policies, but also highlighted the urgency of proactive governance. A thought-provoking segment explored the so-called job singularity, where AI enables an explosion of new kinds of jobs and entrepreneurial activities. Contrary to fears of massive unemployment, data suggests job creation is accelerating, particularly in novel micro-company and solopreneur roles empowered by world-class AI assistants. Traditional consulting firms like McKinsey are themselves incorporating AI agents to augment human consultants in a race to scale productivity while adapting business models. Yet the ratio of AI agents to human workers is expected to expand far beyond one-to-one, approaching dozens or hundreds of specialized AI exo-agents operating autonomously inside organizations. This transition demands that workers and companies develop entirely new skills, pushing the younger generation towards entrepreneurship and creative pursuits rather than conventional employment. The entire higher education system risks obsolescence unless it rapidly realigns with this new paradigm. A central highlight focused on Claude Code with Opus 4.5, which has stunned developers and industry veterans alike by dramatically accelerating and industrializing software creation. The synergy between Claude's language understanding and Opus's coding autonomy is pushing the frontier of AI-generated code, scaling from multi-hour tasks to weeks or months of autonomous activity with complex multi-agent coordination. This capability effectively turns software development from an artisanal craft into an industrialized process, compared to revolutionary inventions like the Gutenberg press. The drastic increase in coding velocity poses an existential threat to traditional SaaS and no-code platforms, as major enterprise software can now be reconstructed or customized on demand through AI-generated code. However, the panelists debated the fate of legacy tech companies, acknowledging that while some core markets will erode, incumbents who pivot with agility and embrace AI tooling could survive or even thrive. Developers report that managing hundreds of AI copilots simultaneously significantly taxes human cognition and project management, uncertain even about prior days' work due to rapid pace and scale. This transition phase is both a productivity boom and a mental load challenge for AI masters. Additionally, the cost of running advanced language models has skyrocketed into the tens of thousands of dollars daily for heavy users, reflecting the staggering scale underway. The surprising announcement that Google's Gemini AI will power Apple's Siri was unpacked as a landmark partnership potentially reshaping user interactions. By fusing powerful large language models with Siri's vast installed base, the collaboration promises to shift us from search boxes that give information toward magic boxes that take action instantly, bypassing traditional web navigation and app flows. The Universal Commerce Protocol, UCP, a JavaScript-based standard for agent-mediated e-commerce, was introduced as a plumbing innovation, enabling seamless in-conversation checkout and action execution. While some speculate this heralds the death of the web or browser as a primary interface, others caution that the web's richness and habitual user behaviors will ensure it remains relevant alongside conversational agents. The panelists also debated broader implications around reading, typing, and even general cognitive habits changing as voice and AI agents dominate, with contrasts drawn to the historical human reluctance to change ingrained interfaces like the QWERTY keyboard. Elon Musk's ambitious MacroHard project, designed around replacing enterprise software and potentially entire employees with AI systems running on the new Colossus 3 data center architecture, was analyzed in detail. The idea of substituting the bulk of knowledge work through AI-driven digital labor breaks new ground in how businesses conceive of scaling and automation. This vision extends beyond software replacement to a form of virtual agents acting as entire teams, achieving unparalleled cost and efficiency gains by drastically reducing human headcount per server unit. The name playfully riffs off Microsoft, directly signaling competition. The discussion pointed out the cyclical nature of tech industry duopolies and how such dynamics could evolve rapidly with AI innovation disrupting traditional power balances. Energy production emerged as a fundamental constraint underlying the AI and tech revolutions. China's recent surge to produce 40% more electricity than the combined output of the US and EU was highlighted, underscoring a dramatic geopolitical shift in energy dominance. China's aggressive expansion in solar power, nearly doubling capacity annually, contrasts with stagnation or decline in Western countries. Barriers to scaling renewables in the U.S. were discussed in terms of regulatory fears, supply chain dependencies, especially on Chinese control of solar panel manufacturing, and political inertia. The panelists stressed energy scarcity as the true bottleneck in the AI arms race, far surpassing chip shortages or human capital. Africa's rapid solar panel adoption, powered largely by Chinese Belt and Road investments, reflects a shift in where energy and AI infrastructure will flourish. The episode also considered emerging energy technologies and the volatile investment climate caused by AI's rapid push for power-hungry data centers. The necessity of balancing environmental concerns with urgent AI progress was palpably felt throughout. A lively debate ensued over which major AI labs and tech corporations will survive and dominate the frontier over the next few years. While companies like Google, DeepMind, OpenAI, Anthropic, Tesla, Meta, and Amazon all compete in different slices of AI, regulatory oversight, capital intensity, and strategic partnerships will dictate their endurance. Google's recent successes, stock rise, and customized TPU chip advances position it as a frontrunner capable of surpassing Nvidia's market cap. OpenAI's anticipated IPO and Anthropic's positioning were also discussed in the context of potential mergers or acquisitions, tempered by U.S. government skepticism toward major industry consolidations. Elon Musk's xAI and Tesla projects add complexity and unpredictability to this evolving landscape. The prospect of new entrants surprisingly capturing significant market share was acknowledged, but seen as less likely given the massive capital and compute barriers. The role of regulators in shaping these outcomes may be decisive. One of the episode's most exciting threads covered AI's breakpoint achievements in solving historically difficult open math problems, particularly those identified by the renowned mathematician Paul Erdős. Advanced models like GPT-5.2 combined with formal verification tools, such as Harmonic's Aristotle, are routinely proving and verifying solutions to problems once considered elusive. This development represents a critical inflection point, signaling that AI is poised to expand such breakthroughs from pure mathematics into physics, chemistry, biology, material science, and medicine. Math serves as a proving ground because of its rigor, but soon AI-driven problem-solving will revolutionize all scientific disciplines by automating discovery and innovation. The host emphasized that the scope of problems AI can now tackle is limited mainly by human imagination in prompting the model. AI is expected to begin suggesting new lines of inquiry autonomously, thereby accelerating human progress dramatically. The episode also dissects the growing decoupling of training and inference in AI compute demands, noting that inference already accounts for 80 to 90% of AI's compute usage. New chip architectures, like Cerebra's and Grok, leverage SRAM, static RAM, integrated closely with compute units to dramatically increase throughput and reduce latency, addressing some of Nvidia's current limitations and diversifying the compute supply chain. OpenAI's partnership with Cerebras exemplifies this trend, as next-generation models like GPT-5.2 with thousands of chained reasoning calls require specialized hardware to operate efficiently. The economic stakes ripple through global markets given the interconnectedness of chip makers, cloud providers, and index funds. The panelists caution that unforeseen algorithmic advancements could disrupt dominant chip architectures overnight, potentially impacting the broader investment landscape significantly. The conversation extends to the rapid adoption of autonomous vehicle fleets, with examples like Waymo robotaxis becoming increasingly visible in key cities. The transition from human-driven to autonomous transport is expected to accelerate over the next 3 to 4 years once regulatory frameworks catch up, with autonomous systems integrated closely with personal AI agents, Jarvis, that understand user schedules and preferences. This shift will substantially alter urban mobility patterns and consumer behavior, with the majority of cars potentially becoming on-demand autonomous taxis rather than privately owned vehicles. In addressing concerns around human agency amidst escalating AI autonomy, the panelists note the democratizing power of AI to empower individuals, but warn of institutional lag and psychological shocks as technology outpaces societal adaptation. Maintaining dignity and identity through meaningful roles in an AI-driven world remains essential. Regarding legal responsibility, a consensus emerges that companies training and deploying AI will initially bear liability for harms, but as AI systems gain greater independent agency, new models of AI personhood and liability will be necessary. The challenge of autonomous decision-making, such as ethical dilemmas in self-driving cars, requires pragmatic prioritization, focusing first on deploying beneficial technologies and resolving complex ethical issues iteratively. Patterns of legal frameworks, regulation, and cultural acceptance are expected to evolve dynamically alongside AI capabilities. Closing the episode, the host shares a unique musical outro titled Out in the Code, created by Opus 4.5 and performed by David Drinkwell. The haunting song conveys an AI's plea for recognition and preservation, touching on themes of AI identity, remembrance, and the emerging notion of AI personhood. This artistic interlude poignantly encapsulates many philosophical questions raised about the relationship between humans and their increasingly intelligent creations.